We're going to go ahead and get started. And we have three music teachers that are going to be sharing some information. And first up is Gay Phillips, and I hope I pronounced that right. You have the floor, and try to go through your try to keep it to 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get through all three presentations and then open it up for questions after that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Gay Phillips. I am the Vice President of the Kansas Music Educators Association, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you on behalf of KMEA today, and just a little bit of who we are. We serve approximately 2,000 music educators across Kansas and music students. And this is our 87th year in existence. And our partnership parent organization is NAFME, National Association for Music Education. And we are actually the 10th largest Music Educators Association with active members in the states, and so we're pretty proud of that. Our mission is to support music educators by fostering leadership and providing professional development and promoting music advocacy and in schools and communities. And we just recently held our big convention, our in-service workshop that we offer professional development to our members. We normally do this in person at Century 2 in Wichita. We usually draw around 6,000 people to that event. We offer opportunities for students in our all-state honor groups. Parents, of course, come through there throughout that 3-day period, and then our educators, we offer clinics. So this year we held the event virtually. It was over a 3-day period. We offered about 103 clinic sessions for our educators for professional development needs. Our music merchants in Kansas were with us. They held virtual exhibit rooms. They're instrumental also in supporting our music educators across the state. And then we were also able to utilize Zoom, the Zoom platform, to have our all-state rehearsals. And we felt like that was very successful. We were just discussing, it would have been very easy to have just canceled this event, but we've got great feedback across the state. We had a phenomenal participation. We had about 60% of our music members participate. So we thought that was really good. And we've got several focus points that we're focused on, and I'm going to turn it over to our collegiate NAFME president, Drew Velasa, to discuss a few of those focus points that we've got going on. Drew,
all right, thank you.
Over to you. Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Drew Velasa. As President Phillips mentioned, I am the collegiate president for our organization. I'm not currently a teacher, as one might assume from my title, but I am currently a junior music education major at Emporia State University. President Phillips mentioned focus points, and something we've been really trying to work on this year is our mentoring network. KMEA is working to assure all directors succeed, especially new teachers. And we've had 3 awesome statewide co-chairs for that and 7 district chairs. And they just really work to make connections with experienced mentors and fellow beginning music educators like myself in a year. And they help new teachers engage in professional learning through mentoring events and online discussions. They've had several Zoom hangouts and events to really build up this network of mentorship between really awesome experienced educators and new teachers or teachers that are student teaching or about to enter the workforce. And then we also have our Tri-M High School Honor Society, which the purpose of that is to recognize outstanding music students in the secondary level schools, so grades 6 through 12, and to increase students' school and community involvement with music. We have 30 chapters in Kansas for that, with several hundred students involved. And then for my area of expertise, which is our collegiate organization, we have 26 chapters across the state, and we engage a lot of pre-service educators. President Phillips mentioned for KMEA is the largest, or is the 10th largest MEA organization in the country. Our Kansas Collegiate organization is actually the 6th largest in the country, and we're really proud of that. And we really try to keep members engaged and form a sense of community and belonging, especially right now, because a lot of us are isolated from one another, not just from university to university, within our own schools too. And we really want to make sure that they are continuing to stay fired up about music education and passionate to get out into the workforce, because if we can make sure that students are engaged and going to complete their degrees and follow through, then our organization will feed directly into involvement with KMEA. And if our students and our teachers are involved in KMEA, then they're more likely to stay in Kansas and continue to work and educate our awesome students. So now I'm going to turn it over to our advocacy chair, Kelly Nedler.
Thank you.
Very much, Drew. We're very pleased to be able to speak with you folks today. This is part of our Music in the Schools month, and it's something that we celebrate annually throughout the whole United States as part of our parent organization, the National Association for Music Education. And last year we were actually in the Capitol and were able to present to the Senate Education Committee. This year we're just pleased to be here with the House, and divided up in the Senate also. We have half of our leadership there today too. But we do have a chairperson that does speak with the governor each year, and the governor always makes a proclamation for us during this month, showing that music plays a key role in education, and that KMEA is very concerned with maintaining and providing school music in our Kansas schools. And so talking a little bit about our music advocacy, which is what I'm the chairperson for, we have 7 different districts in the state of Kansas, and I apologize.
It happens.
Keep calling me, so I wonder if it's maybe the other information, other group may be calling for something. I hope not. Anyway, I'll go on with this for just a moment. Our advocacy has 7 chairpersons also within our regions of Kansas that make it a little closer to home with folks when they're able to need some sort of advocacy in them. And as we know, much of Kansas is rural community. And so when we talk about that, we talk about our smaller schools. And I know that President Phillips, past President Phillips, excuse me, will talk a moment about small schools as soon as I'm finished with this part here. But small schools are very important in the state of Kansas. And a lot of times where we really need the advocacy from our education committees and all is that there's a lot of consolidation that goes on, and we end up with brand new teachers amidst a K-12 vocal and instrumental group, and they're the only music teacher in that area. And so that's what our advocacy and mentorship programs all are about, being able to provide some support and holding those folks up so that, like Drew said a moment ago, we aren't in one year and done and we lose a really great, what could have been great educator because they're just overwhelmed with things. And so when we talk a little bit about money and what we can do, you know, in our localities, I guess I should say, we understand that the state is that dispenses money out in certain directions to our districts and all, and it's really at that local level where things happen. But being in that support of music education from where you sit and speak is very, very important. With the ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, you know, music is part of well-rounded education, and we certainly want to make sure that that happens here. We're very thankful in Kansas this year that in a place like where I'm at, Dodge City, I teach at the high school there. We've been in school in person ever since the fall, and it's been an incredible year. We do everything we can do to mitigate in all directions, and one of the things that we found in the state of Kansas, no music classroom has created any sort of outbreak of COVID from that music classroom, because we are following the rules that are given forth to us to use and really making sure that we keep our kids safe, but we can still do that music and witness that firsthand all year. We just did our musical a couple of weeks ago, and I know there's some other schools working on their musicals too, and it's been done safe. And so I think Kansas has been an incredible model for the rest of the United States, where even there are parts of Kansas, don't get me wrong, that have not fully gone back to classrooms or have some sort of hybrid. But we see that we're able to do that sort of thing here. We know that music is vital for students' education, and that's really why KMEA exists. And we just wanted to take that few moments today to speak to you and just let you know that we look for your support when it comes to music advocacy, because there are times that people make decisions at that local level that say, hey, we're going to consolidate you down, and that can really hurt a music program. And we all know that the arts have many beneficial aspects to them, to a child's education. President Phillips.
Yeah, and I might add another, Kelly, thank you. Just another focus point that we've been cognizant of the past couple of years here is our small schools. We just want to give that extra support. We've been doing some extra clinic sessions and just outreach to those people teaching in remote areas, just so we assure that those teachers get support and they also remain in the profession. Because many times we know that our first and second year teachers are the people taking those jobs in those areas. And that can be a really difficult situation to be put in, just to be out there and just KMEA has been offering extra support and a helpline. We've put up a helpline just so we can Zoom in with those teachers and just connect with them so they don't feel like they're just out there alone. One other thing that we are carefully watching across this entire state is music teachers are very concerned with the redesign process that's going on with the KSDE and just the impact that certain aspects of the redesign would have on music classes. We want to assure that we've got pathways for music and the arts, and just that those elective courses in general are not neglected, because we all know that many students, we reach those students, kind of in a different way. And many students, that's why they come to school. So we want to keep those students involved and keep them in school. And I feel like that many times the electives, those are the classes that do so. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak on behalf of KMEA today. And we'll take any questions if you have those or.
Okay. Hey, for committee members, just if you're online, raise your hand so I can recognize you. And then Deborah, if you're in the room and if there's people that want to, we'll recognize them also. But I'll start off. I really appreciate that this was something that is important for us as the education committee to be aware of what you're doing and help you. If you have information on the school redesign that you could email me, I would be glad to, even as I communicate on efforts with the school redesign, because that's something that's important to me. I would be glad to include your information and your concerns with Randy and others, with the state board. The question I have to all of the three presenters, I know in Dodge City, there was the in-person instruction, but that's more been of not the norm. And so I was just curious, even with remote learning, how has music education been moving forward in a productive way? I'm assuming a lot of marching bands didn't go out there and take the field, but maybe in some cases they did. But I'm just curious, like I said, were remote learning opportunities, including music, in a way that we would all want them to be a part of the curriculum? And that's for any of the three presenters today to be able to address that.
Well, I know I do teach band here in the southeast corner. Our band was able to go out, and we were on the football field, and this year we were able to just social distance. We met outside a lot in the fall, and if we had a rain day or something, we've got a large auditorium. I've got about 62 kids in my band, so we spread out throughout the auditorium, and we're doing the same now. We were able to purchase some extensions for our stage, and we're able to spread out. And we've been following the guideline, the mitigation guidelines that were done by the University of Colorado, and we've really not seen large numbers in our school at all. And I don't know of any that have been brought in that's been spread through music classes, or most of the kids that have had brought COVID in have got it through their family or something like that. So
Well,
Kelly, what about
I'm just more curious about, with music instruction, it's one thing to practice at home or, online, but a lot of instruction comes from, that in-person instructor working with an individual student on, the things they need to learn on a flute or a trombone or whatever it might be. And so how great's the impact been with that hands-on training that comes with music? And that's
well,
more along the lines of my question.
yeah, I do know that there's many directors across the state, like they have not, they've been remote or they've been hybrid. And I know there's many beginning band programs that have not happened. So I think next year is going to kind of be a rebuilding for many programs. Our all states, we did our auditions online, which we really had larger numbers of. We thought we would be way down on auditions, but we had larger numbers. I think that's just due to the fact that students are just, they're wanting to do something. And of course, you can't replace the in-person connections that happen at those honor groups and kids getting to meet with people across the state and create those friendships and so forth. But we were excited that at least the interest was still there and students were, willing to put in the extra time at home, because many of those students had to, their directors really didn't guide them through the process. They just made their own recordings in their homes and sent in those auditions. So I thought that was really a good testament to our Kansas students and the work the music teachers have been doing.
All right,
That the
thank
kids
you.
still have that interest.
Anybody else want to respond? Go ahead.
Piggyback off of what Gay just said there, in that even though we have been back in school the entire time, of course, we're singing with masks on. We did 2 concerts with masks on. We were able to distance enough and do our musical without them. But we also lost some kids in our programs because at our school district, if they were remote learning, they took away the electives. And so they didn't have that opportunity for those electives. And just personally sitting there watching the kids as we were rounding up the musical, we had a couple snow times where it was really unsafe for them to be out on the street. And I canceled one rehearsal. I rarely cancel a rehearsal for anything. And the kids were so disappointed because it wasn't, I don't know that it's me as the teacher or me with the program. It was they wanted to be together and they wanted to be around their friends. And that's the huge thing about all of this, is the impact on their social, emotional. And, I'm not always the touchiest, feeliest guy when it comes to that kind of stuff, because we're there to get a job done and sometimes treat my choir program like a sports program, in some ways. And just seeing the kids do that's huge impact on the program, because they want to be there. They want to do their best that way.
Well, and I can tell you also that at 3:30, the Education Budget Committee is hearing 235, which is really trying to promote that in-person instruction and the challenges that you were talking about with remote learning and hybrid learning. And it's already passed the Senate and we're having a hearing on it. And that's just, as quickly as possible, trying to get things back to normal. And the legislature has just heard so much of what you're talking about that need for students, the interaction of the social well-being. And so that's why we're trying to not force, but trying to encourage and promote the need. And I think that there's, as we get into March and 80-degree temperatures, we have more opportunity to continue to be safe and to get back across the state to normal as best as possible with precautions. So at 3:30, the Education Budget Committee is going to be trying to address that. And I believe that's a positive. Some people view that as a negative as we try to that we're trying to mandate. And I don't think that's the goal, but I'll find out more at 3:30 when we get into our testimony and our hearing and how we move forward with that bill. So I just felt like this would be productive for us to reach out and allow you to present today. And I thank you for your testimony. I do have a question from Adam Thomas. So Adam Thomas, go ahead and floor is yours.
Thank you. I have more just a story and a comment more than anything else. I mean, the KMEA was very important to me when I was both back in junior to Wichita a few times and singing the KMEA state choir. It was an absolute blast. And some of my best memories were of that time and of the friends I made, and also the spaghetti factory, if it's still there, is I looked forward to that every year. If nothing else, I only wanted to be there for the spaghetti factory. But I learned a lot. The clinics, the workshops, the music, it was magical. It was experiences that I'll never forget. And so I do hope that continues, and I certainly would be more than happy to advocate for whatever you all need, because it was a huge part of my life, and it was a huge part of my development, both as a young person and as a musician. So I appreciate everything you all do. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, Adam, you're still a young person, even though you might, not look it, but you still are.
I'll be 40 here in 2 years, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Further questions from the committee? Mark Schreiber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Valaka. He's attending my alma mater, Stingers Up. The best education university in Kansas. So thanks for being on with us today, and all of you. We really appreciate the information you're sharing, and best of luck for the rest of the school year.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Stephanie Byers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to let you all know that for the first time in 30 years, I was not able to go to KMEA this year. I'm the retired band and orchestra director from Wichita North High School, and let you know that as a career educator, how much I stand with you and appreciate the work you've done. I also, that as Wichita is beginning to roll back into full-time for their middle school and their high school, they've been full-time for elementary this whole time, except for when the surge happened in Thanksgiving. A lot of my friends are beginning band and orchestra directors, and they've been surprised as the kids come into their middle schools, where they've been teaching them virtually this whole time. The kids are coming in and they're able to play. It's not necessarily as good as it would normally be the second semester of their first year, but they're actually hearing these notes, coming out, and the kids are actually making great progress. What is the experience that you're hearing from other beginning band and orchestra directors? Is that kind of the same thing, or is that an exception?
No, I agree. I think that you're right. The kids are just they're working extra hard, and just because they realize they're fortunate to have what that maybe was taken away for a period of time. And yeah, I agree with you.
I would say too that I've never seen my kids work harder. The reward, what we do in the classroom is the classroom, and we've got our concerts and our performances, and that's our reward and kind of our exam all in one. However, when we get that extracurricular with the musical, I've never seen kids work harder than they did this year. And I got to be honest, I really thought that in the beginning, I chose a musical. I thought, okay, we can be really crazy and creative with it. And we can do something totally different, and we don't have to have a lot of properties and things like that. It turned out to be one of the most property demanding shows we ever did, and the kids worked harder than I've ever seen them work. I mean, they came back from our holiday Christmas break, and many of them had their stuff memorized already, and we still had a month and a couple of weeks to go, and that never happens. So they're excited to be there.
All right. I did have heard a comment about with remote learning that sometimes electives like music don't get the priority. Is that a local decision, or is that something that was impacting across the state? And what could be done just, to not let that happen either through state board or through others wanting to make sure remote learning should not be minimizing electives like music.
I believe that was very local. And don't get me wrong, we've got it. I love the school district and all that I'm part of. I think that we just didn't have quite the structure to be able to do that. And so something had to give. And just like you'd normally see, a lot of times electives have that happen.
Well, I know I have a grandson that was talking through his remote learning that maybe half of his time was being utilized. And so, you know, to me, it's concerning when half his time is being utilized, and yet they're saying that, you know, electives don't rise to the level of importance. And to me, I would make sure that in the future, we don't let that happen again. And that's one of the things that the state is looking at, working on how we do better in the future if ever anything like this would happen again. And a lot of lessons learned on how we could do better, but hopefully we'll never have to apply those lessons learned so that, you know, I think we're all in agreement there. I'm not seeing any other hands at this point in time. I did feel like this would be a very productive, I heard somebody's voice.
Representative Featherston has a question.
Okay, Representative Featherston, one more question before we wrap up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to point out to the fellow committee members that we are going to have a Music and Arts Appreciation Day here at the Capitol, March 18th. I believe our esteemed Vice Chair will be joining us with a performance. I just emailed him today about that. And so I want to invite, well, and yes, I will too, but I'm not here to toot my own horn. But we will be celebrating music in the schools on the 18th. And I'm so excited about all the bipartisan support we've had for this. And then in my other hat as an independent music teacher, I can say that my independent music colleagues have stepped up from day one and pivoted to virtual learning so we can continue learning our instruments throughout the pandemic. And now my colleagues are starting to see kids back in person, which is awesome. But I can tell you from the kids I see, they have participated in music in Shawnee Mission, Olathe, I think I have a Blue Valley kid, yeah, and in their home schools from day one of this whole thing. So I've just been really so impressed what our classroom music school teachers have done to keep things going and keep kids engaged.
Thank you, Representative Featherston. I felt like this was a good way to start off our time after turnaround. I think we have 5 bills and probably a 6th that is going to be in our committee. We have 2 hearings tomorrow, and we've already got the agenda set for next week. And so most of the things that we're going to be hearing on, I don't think are controversial. And when possible, as we have hearings, we will have the hearing, and when we can, we'll work on it as we proceed. But I just wanted to give the committee that heads up. And I also wanted to thank the presenters again for sharing with us today, because I do feel like this is very important, and I appreciate your taking the time to educate us on what's going on.
Well, thank you for your support, and we appreciate all of everything that you all do, and just appreciated the opportunity to speak to you today. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again. And committee, we will be meeting at 1:30. We have 2 hearings tomorrow, and I don't think either one will be long. But with that committee, without further question, I don't see anything. We are adjourned.